Okay. Share. Nothing like demoing to your colleagues. I think this is the worst. I really do. I'd rather have a feisty audience. Okay. So today, and by the way, typically I expect a sales rep to have some sort of slide deck ahead of this. This is not, my slides should never replace what should be done in a standard role point meeting. The only reason I use slides, by the way, well, two reasons. One is I think it just guides people through what I'm going to say. But two, I have a few extra slides than I normally would as an SE because I'm trying to add some breadth and depth here to what is in essence pretty basic, straightforward technology. Okay, so I'm assuming that all has taken place before we do the demo. So take it away, Heather. So as you've learned, referrals, truly, as we all know in HR, are your number one source of hire. We're going to talk about how we support this channel of candidates. I usually talk about it in three phases. One is the technology that we offer you. And really all we're offering today is just yet another career site. The difference here in this particular career site is targeting and expected usage or users are your employees. So yes, it can be indexable. Yes, it can be searchable from the outside. And as you'll learn as we go through the demo today, that more than just your employees will engage with this site, but the whole purpose and the front end set of users that are engaging with it will be your employees. So that's what makes it different. So we'll show this career site today, talk about how it's mobile responsive, how we do engage with single sign-on technology if you have that at your organization, and all the various options that we give you and how you can capture additional referral names. I think that's the biggest key here as we talk about the career site today, that we give you options and configurations, and you can pick and choose what works best for you and your company. Second part of today's demo is going to be another key part of what we offer you in the referral space, and that is incentive management and tracking. So most traditional ATSs do have some set of functionality around referrals. However, where almost every single one of them falls short is in the reporting and the tracking part of it. So this is where we come into play, kind of add a bow to reporting to your ATS, is how we are tracking who has submitted what name, concepts of ownership and probationary periods. And at the end of the day, if anyone has earned some sort of incentive, be able to calculate their eligibility at the time incentives should be paid out. So we'll talk about how we do that reporting also today in the demo. And last but not least, not only are we giving you a career site and giving you some key reporting functionality, we also have an entire world of engagement services. Now, this part of the demo, realize these are all optional to you, but we pride ourselves in client success. And a lot of what our clients have seen in the success of their referral programs has not been just putting out a career site out there. And tracking names, but all of the work that goes around that technology, which is marketing, it's education, it's getting really targeted in how you're campaigning to your employees, when you're campaigning to them, and who out of your employee base you're campaigning. So even though these services are optional, if you talk to any one of our clients who have grown their referral programs to the 35-40% range, they will tell you it was these additional services that got them there. So before we get started, any questions or thoughts? All right. So once your website, your career site for referrals is up and running, really the first experience that your employees are going to get is probably an email or could be a text. We have grown into the world of texting here, that in essence campaigns to them about getting a referral. So if, and by the way, I would know this if the company had this or not, but if your company has grown into recruitment marketing and sourcing and the word campaigning should not be new to you in that space, realize we're just applying the word campaigning here to the referral side. Again, the difference is you're campaigning to your own employees. We have a variety of ways to help you segment your audiences. And as you can tell, different ways to brand the messaging about encouraging them to come to this career site and actually give you a lead. Now, we do have automatic emails that will show your current open recs, but what's really going on behind the scenes here is not sending these emails to all employees all the time. Number one thing that we've learned in our several years of being in the referral space is that most times if someone's going to give you a lead, more than likely that lead probably is in the same profession, same department, same area of the business that they are in. And also a lot of times within this geographic region. So as you will find out, we're using a lot of technology around those two criteria points to help target. But above and beyond that, we take additional criteria and make sure that the time and energy you're spending marketing to certain employees will pay off in getting qualified candidates in those recs. So that's really the employee's first experience with having this piece of technology up and running. Now, once they get that email, of course, with single sign-on, they're going to be able to be brought in directly to this career site. Now, we are browser agnostic. We are mobile responsive, so this could easily be done on a phone. And by the way, if single sign-on is not used, we certainly have an integration with your HRIS system and login features where once they click on the link, they just have to put in their credentials to get in. So you can see here, I'm logged in to this career site. That's difference number one between any other career site that you have in your workplace. With single sign-on, of course, it's going to be immediate. So as you have new hires coming in, single sign-on is going to bring them right into this portal immediately. You don't have to wait for the integration to take place. The other thing you'll notice here as I scroll down on this particular career site for referrals, you're going to see some typical things like listing of jobs. So, of course, we're integrating with your ATS to bring those jobs in. If for some reason you don't want us to integrate with your ATS, we certainly can do site web scrapes as well. We also can filter what jobs you want to push to this site. We do have a few clients today that didn't want just a huge dump of all their current recs that they're posting everywhere else to be brought here. So realize if you have some need to filter out in that feed or that integration, just let us know. We can do that. So those are two integrations right out of the gate to understand about this, the functioning of the career site. Integration with your HRIS system and typically an integration with your ATS. At this point, at the very least, to bring in your recs. There's further integration here at the ATS that we'll talk about in a minute. Now, certainly this career site can be branded like any other career site. This is a particular template that we offer. We can even push this via iframe to a site of your choice. So when it boils down to look and feel, really the sky's the limit. So after today's demo, if you have specific questions about branding and setup, let's take care of them then. But just know for today's sake that more than likely your needs around the look and feel is going to be a yes and possible. Now, what can employees do when they're driven to this site from a campaign email? We have a couple of different ways where they can give you leads right up front. We call them general referrals and direct referrals. The difference between the two is when I give you a name, is it tied to a particular job? So in my website design, you'll notice I have a little icon or a little tab here in the lower left-hand corner that says, do you know who you want to refer? This is going to be my link to get me to what we call a general referral. Me as an employee giving you a name that's not tied to a particular position and or rec. Now, real quick note about look and feel. Just because in my website, this is a tab in the lower left-hand corner, does not mean that it would have to be with yours. We have clients who make buttons here in their banner, have other graphical ways to draw great attention to giving a general referral. So just a little side note there. But when an employee is in a general referral workflow, it's just a quick form. Again, this is mobile responsive. I could do this on my phone. These fields that you see here are configurable in terms of you choose which ones you want to use. You're not forced to use all of them. If you want to keep it as simple as a 5-second, hey, I know this name, here's an email address, hit submit, you can do that. You'll also notice here I have certain fields that are required. You also can choose which fields are required in these forms. As you get to understand the depth of our functionality, you'll understand there's a world here of duplication and protecting that from happening too often, same profiles, same names. So we'll tell you best practices of what fields here. Typically it's email and phone. If you need to pick or choose, you can do that. But bottom line, you should have some required to help you behind the scenes with duplication. But overall, you have a lot of configurability options here. You'll notice in my form today, I even allow a resume to drag and drop in, even allow my employee to drag and drop in a resume. Again, best practices, we're going to tell you more than likely not to require that unless you're a company that right now has a huge funnel or pipeline of referrals coming in, but your issue is that they're not qualified. We do have a few companies who came to us to help them with that problem. If and then, we would probably say best practices make this required. But as you can see here, as I'm going through these options, you can see that RollPoint being in the referral space only, we have a lot of experience here and best practices to give you and guide you as you build out your program. Last but not least on this form, I want to draw your attention to are these last 3 fields. Endorsement strength, how do you know this person? And why did you person? So it's a fill in the text box. These 3 additional fields follow the profile wherever this profile ends up going. And most of our clients have commented about how this extra piece and set of information allows recruiters a better feeling out of the gate of, is this a hot lead that I really want to nurture and contact immediately? Or maybe this might be a warm or less than warm one, and I will look at some others. Now, these fields, again, are optional. You can also change the text here in the drop-down, but we do see most clients want to keep them because it just adds additional validity to the form. So that's a general referral. If an employee was actually in their campaign drawn to a specific job, the link from their email would specifically bring them into that specific job, or on their own accord, they actually end up opening a current job. This is what we call a direct referral. So in this space, I'm seeing the job description just as you have it in your ATS. This is HTML, so certainly we could have links, formatting of text. We can even bring in media like graphics if you want to. But bottom line, it's just how you have it in your ATS today. As an employee, I'm looking at that job description and now deciding, do I want to refer? Very similar to a general referral, it's a form. All the same things hold true that I just said. You can pick and choose the fields you want to turn on, pick and choose what ones are required, and make it as simple or more detailed as you see fit. What both of these processes have in common, the general and the direct, in the submitting of forms, are a couple of things that will happen upon submit. First off, we have a concept of ownership. And in fact, over 95% of our clients turn ownership on. What ownership does is set a time period for how long your employee is tied to this name as a source. Most companies keep it for a year, but you can choose what your ownership period is. So as soon as Heather submits referral A's name, Heather is now the referral source for that name, for this job, for that ownership period. Second thing that happens upon submit, and that's going to take me back to my slide deck here, is we can send some notifications. And again, you have choice as a client what notifications you send. Of course, you're going to probably want the one turned on to the employee that says thank you. At least they know the profile was captured and someone's paying attention to it. A lot of times in the referral space, companies come to us and talk about a black hole. Employees will say, yeah, I gave a name and never heard anything again. So this is the beginning of how we keep employees engaged with the profiles they're given. We send a thank you. Now, what that email looks like and what it actually says is completely up to you. You have an opportunity here to continue to market and educate your employees after they submit names about what to expect and the value of the name they just gave. We'll talk about that more here in under services, but that's notification number one. We also can send a notification to the person referred. Sometimes we get into the world of, did the referral give rights to have their name added to the system? Realize this is just a lead. And right now it's only in the referral database. So we can send a note. What that note says to the referral, again, is up to you. A lot of our clients do add an apply button. That button is going to drive them back into this career site, but it's going to drive them in as a non-logged in user. So we'll look at that experience here in just a quick second. Any quick questions or thoughts so far about the process and notifications? I always want to make sure that I don't talk too long like a train and not give people time to interject. And last but not least, we can also send notifications to your recruiters as well. So I wasn't showing an example of that, but of course we can send those. The last thing to understand about referral forms is where does this data go upon submit? So this is another place where you as a client have some opportunity to make some design choices. So of course, we now have a profile of information, I like to call it a lead, that is now captured within this career site technology. You can choose if this profile information is pushed into your ATS system of tools now, or only pushed in when the referral happens to choose to apply. You have that choice. Companies choose differently based on how they look at compliance and how they want the recruiters to engage with these leads. Now, assuming the referral actually applies, let's talk about their experience. So first off, I'm going to log out and realize from that email that says, hey, you've just been referred, click here and see if you'd like to apply. When they click that button, this is what the career site is going to look like for them. So the referral forms are taken away. There's certainly information that was meant for just the employees that's automatically taken away. And certainly if they were referred to a specific job, that link would draw them directly to this job. So now their experience is like truly any other career site. They're looking at the job description and deciding if they apply. By the way, the content that's in this right-hand column, completely configurable by you. What happens when they click apply? This is going to drive them directly into your current application process today. The difference here is that when they got that email and they click the link, they are brought in with the understanding that an employee is the referral source. So when they hit apply now that application is going to go into your ATS with the source of them being that employee's name. Questions or thoughts? Now log back in here as an employee. Talk about a few more uses of the website. Not only do we send notifications upon submitting of referrals, you'll also notice we have an ongoing integration with your ATS. So as that profile gets to an application, we could send a notification that says, hey, they actually applied, way to go. And we can continue to send notifications as they move through your current process. You'll notice I have different statuses here of past candidates that I suggested as referrals. What we do here is we map your ATS's statuses with our 8 employee-friendly statuses in this career site space. So for instance, John here might be in one of 3 statuses of your ATS, but he's notified in the role point space that that candidate is under assessment. So under assessment, I'm doing air quotes, could stand for a multitude of things in your ATS, but at the very least, you're keeping your employee here abreast of that John is continuing to move through the flow. So we have emails for each one of these status changes. And of course, your employee can come to the screen anytime they'd like to do a check. I'll also quickly highlight, I've got a couple of examples here at the top that have no job title. This is an example of general referrals. So maybe at some point that referral profile is moved to another requisition, an actual active one. Or for some reason, or at some point that referral came to this site, picked a job of their own and applied. I'm still being tracked as their source. And I can continue to get notified as they move through the process of whatever requisition bin they landed in. Not only do we offer referral forms, but we also offer additional ways that your employees can help bring in referral leads. Those are exhibited here by these bubbles. I like to think of them as champagne bubbles, that recognize or put your employees in the seat of being talent ambassadors. So what they're doing is they're promoting beyond what you're already doing as recruiters. So the first set of bubbles represent different social media platforms that you can turn on in our portal. You can pick and choose any social media platform that you want to advertise here. For instance, in my portal, I've got Twitter as an option. The employee clicks on it, and as soon as they log in and tweet, this job or this career site is now being promoted to my personal network, in this case of 300 or so fellow tweeters. Now, at this point, you don't know any names. The employee is just advertising for you. But what's important to understand is this link now has my name as the source. So what RollPoint is tracking is not only, for instance, out of my 300 people, 10 people click this link, we track that. Out of those 10 people that actually brought themselves to the website, they actually apply, we track the 3 out of the 10 links that apply. What's all in common is that it's all tied to my name as the employee. Some additional ways of being talent ambassadors, we offer texting. So this is more of a one-to-one situation. I like to think of a typical scenario of I'm at dinner with a colleague, I'm at a ball game with someone, I know they're in the job market, I think they'd be a great fit for my current employer, I send them a text. So again, this is mobile responsive, I can do this on a phone. They will instantaneously get a text that says, Heather, employee at job company A, thinks you might be a great fit here, click here. What's in common with all of these is my very specific link to this career site. And this link always has the employee name as the source tied to it. So anytime a non-employee is brought to the site, they're being connected. Email these texts as well, or email these links as well. Last but not least, on the website, we do have this optional of gamification. We've realized over the years that it's not always about only paying someone if the referral actually happens to be hired. How many times are you getting really great leads that ownership period is long since passed, you ended up hiring? Why not recognize people just for overall activity in the referral space? And that's what gamification does. So if I click on leaderboards here, I'm first going to draw you to our first tab here, your performance, which really helps exhibit the point system that we could turn on here in the referral space. So again, you have choices about what value or how many points you give for different activities, like how many times was the link shared out on a social media platform, how many people clicked that link, or what statuses that their referral profiles ended up on. Again, not only recognizing only for hires, but recognizing qualified candidates that recruiters ended up engaging with over time. You can see here my personal activity. Of course, if I was doing more than just sending out links, you'd see a tabulation of points. Well, what can you do with that? We do have a leaderboard screen here. A lot of companies have grown into like a friendly competition as they market their referral program internally. But certainly we can track these points and give different awards for this kind of activity as well. That's going to bring me here to a few examples. What we talk about micro rewards tied with this concept of gamification, not only just paying out the proverbial $500, $1,500 stipend, but instead socially recognizing that alone. You'd be surprised at how that grows your program and keeps it alive and well. But getting into micro rewards like gift cards or raffles, where several people earn their place into the raffle, but only one person earns the reward. So when it comes to campaigning as well as tracking, we can bring the world of gamification together in this space. And again, keep people consistently aware that your company is invested in the referral space and that they're going to be recognized for their activity in that. This brings me to program management and what we do around management and tracking. So you heard me speak about ownership. We also have, whoops, my mouse just went crazy. This idea of probationary periods. A lot of companies, and I think I heard from Discovery, you're no different, in that you don't necessarily pay out just upon hire. That new hire needs to be on staff for a certain amount of time before you pay out for referrals. So between ownership and probationary periods, what we do out of the gate is create eligibility reports for you. Now, the reason I'm showing you screenshots today is this is a service that we provide. If you want to pull these reports on your own, let us know. We can equip your portals with the ability to do so. But the mass majority of our clients appreciate this service and not having to build the reports themselves. So once a month basis, we will send out these reports that show who the source was that have calculated the ownership and probationary periods to a concept of eligibility. So 6 months later, is Heather, your employee, still eligible for a payout of referral A who's been on job for 90 days? And if so, what is that payout? Now, the second example here, where we have a handful of clients that have a much more complexity in how they calculate eligibility. So an example here is Lockheed Martin. They're a client of ours. They have been for several years. A lot of reason they have gotten into a world of complexity around eligibility is because just due to the nature of the industry they're in. They're hiring high security clearance positions. They actually look at the employee's FLSA status. They look at the job category, not only of what's being referred into, but the job category of the employee themselves. This is going to come typically from the HRIS feed that we're already doing in this referral space. So if you have above and beyond just the typical criteria for saying, is Heather, your employee, eligible? We certainly can increase what we're pulling in from your HRIS system through our integration and using what we call a eligibility calculator to determine eligibility. Now, not all clients need this complexity. This is certainly an additional service and configuration to your portal, but I will say many clients do find themselves growing into this space. So if nothing else, realize today on the front end that you would be investing in a technology that can take you to this level of complexity if you need it. That brings us to services. So much of what we talked about, as you could tell through my conversations, that so much success goes in the marketing and education of your program. It's not a one-time hit and then employees just naturally remember there's a site out there to give names. They're not going to remember that. So it's important not only to launch your referral program with us strong, but to keep that strength, to keep that focus on it throughout the year and years to come. So we offer different things to help you do that. One of the services we offer in the education and marketing space is professional videos. We do have a videography team that we can send out to you. Again, this is an additional service. You can see we've done it for Hilti, for UPS, for Okta. These companies are leveraging these videos in new hire training and onboarding, even in their recruiting channels. That lets people know how important their employees are and their employees' voice in who they hire. We also do tangible resources. We can help you create, design, distribute things like posters. Again, these posters could go alongside whatever hiring needs you have. That may be specific to certain jobs, or that may be different drives around diversity and veteran hiring. A lot of companies still have the proverbial workroom or back room somewhere, and just seeing these posters on a daily basis reminds people, hey, my company has a referral program. We've gotten into t-shirts, water bottles, even UPS, who's a client of ours, we made air fresheners for their truck drivers. So before you kind of say, no, that's not needed for us, once you start to understand how some of our current clients have branded their referral programs and have these tangible resources in sight on a regular basis, why they are showing their 30, 35, 40% referral higher rates today. Last example I'll give you here is Red Bull is a client. They marketed their campaign Referable, which is really cute. So their HR, their TA team, a lot of them have their Referable t-shirts and make a habit of wearing them anytime they have an on-site new hire onboarding training. You also can hire us for additional service hours around helping you with campaigning. We've been here, we've done it for many years. So how to segment your audiences, how to campaign to them, what will get their attention. When is it good to do a raffle? Do Apple Watches make a difference? We can even help you in the distributing of those rewards if you need the bandwidth and you need the help to do that. What you're seeing here is we become a partner with you on the client success side and not just provide you the technology. But at the end of the day, this is putting you into a certain service level package where these sorts of activities and services are provided by our client success team. Last but not least, we can even do additional analytics. Now, what I didn't show in today's initial demo is we do have some standard reporting out of the box that you can look at. It's in a tiled situation. By the way, if this was a JobBite deal, I would say it's on the JobBite dashboard. But anyway, but we can go above and beyond that traditional reporting and above and beyond the eligibility report I showed you. So if you get very specific and heavy into campaigning, we can break down the data and the success of those particular campaigns if you want us to. Now, all of this data is exportable into reporting systems of your own. The idea here around custom analytics is if you want our client success team to create and analyze the data for you. We can even do infographics like you're seeing here from Informatica. If you need to justify the ROI of investing in a tool specific only to referrals, you might find that your leadership, your board, etc., want some regular updates about the impact of that investing. So we've even done infographics like this to show how your funnel of referrals is growing, but more importantly, you're hiring talented people that are retained much more, much longer and in more quantity than what you're seeing from any other candidate source. Questions or thoughts from today's initial demo? And that's how it's done at the bottom of the hour. Who's impressed? Come on.